Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. If you're studying the Cambridge 0580 syllabus, or, if you just want to finally conquer the fascinating and, let's be honest, sometimes totally confusing world of mathematical probability, well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're tackling a core challenge that trips up a whole lot of students and adults alike, calculating unequal probabilities. We're going to take all the guesswork right out of probability by using one of the absolute most powerful visual tools in mathematics, the tree diagram.
Okay, let's dive into this with a real-world puzzle right out of the gate. Imagine you live somewhere where, during the winter, the probability of rain on any given day is 5 out of 7. It's pretty wet. Now, ask yourself, what are the odds that you're going to need your umbrella for 2 consecutive days? When you try to calculate unequal odds like a 5 and 7 chance across multiple days just in your head, it feels incredibly tricky, right? Our brains just aren't really wired to compute compound fractions on the fly. And here is the exact answer: 25 over 49. Now, if you're hearing that fraction and thinking, wait, how on earth did we get a 49? Don't worry. I know it sounds a bit intimidating at first, but I promise you, by the end of this explainer, calculating a number exactly like this won't just make total sense. You're going to be able to map it out and solve it effortlessly. So here's our agenda for today. First, mapping your chances. Second, the multiplication rule. Third, adding multiple outcomes. Fourth, real-world applications. And finally, when probabilities change. Let's get started. All right, section 1, mapping your chances, visualizing the base odds. Before we even look at multiple days or events, we absolutely have to establish our starting point. On any single day, the chance of rain is 5/7. Now, because a whole day represents a 1 in probability, meaning 100% certainty of something happening, the chance of it not raining is just whatever's left over. So 1 minus 5/7 leaves us with 2/7. Okay, so our unequal base probabilities are 5/7 for rain and 2/7 for no rain. Once we've got these two base slices figured out, we're ready to build our map.
And building that map means constructing a tree diagram. I want you to think of this not as some complex math problem, but really just as a simple logical drawing exercise. Step 1, draw your first event branches from a single starting point. So 1 branch for rain, 1 for no rain. Step 2, to represent the second day, draw a new set of branches sprouting right from the tip of each of those first branches. And step 3, write those base probabilities we just established along the sides of every single branch. Rain gets a 5/7, no rain gets a 2/7.
Moving on to section 2, the multiplication rule, calculating along the branches. So now that we've mapped out our tree, we need to decode it. Our source material explains this beautifully. It says, the probability of each outcome is found by multiplying the probabilities for each of the branches, calculating the fraction of a fraction. Really think about that phrasing for a second, a fraction of a fraction. If you want to know the probability of it raining on day 1 and day 2, you're literally looking for 5/7 of 5/7. In math, the word and is your biggest cue to multiply. So the crucial point here is understanding the difference between moving across your diagram and moving down your diagram. When you move left to right, along the branches to create a specific sequence like rain and rain, you multiply. But when you're looking at different possible final outcomes from top to bottom, like scenario A or scenario B, you add. Lock this rule in your mind, guys. It is absolutely the secret to the entire Cambridge syllabus for this topic.
Let's trace that first outcome to see exactly how this builds our final answers. To get the result of rain on day 1 and rain on day 2, we just multiply the probability of the first branch, which is 5/7, by the second branch, also 5/7. Well, 5 times 5 is 25. 7 times 7 is 49. And boom, there is our initial mystery number, 2549. We can do the exact same thing for every single path. Rain then no rain, 5/7 times 2/7 equals 1049. By multiplying across, we instantly decode every single exact sequence.
All right, section 3, adding multiple outcomes, combining probabilities. Now, exams love to test your deeper understanding, right? So what happens when a question gives us multiple acceptable outcomes? Here's a classic, honestly kind of tricky exam phrasing. Calculate the probability that it will rain on at least one day. Notice how it doesn't tell you exactly which path to take. It challenges you to look at your entire tree diagram and ask yourself, okay, which of my final branches actually satisfy this specific condition? If we look at our possible outcomes, at least 1 day of rain means exactly what it says. 2 days of rain? Yep, that counts. Rain on the first day, but not the second?
That counts. Dry on the first day, but rain on the second? That counts too. So we actually have 3 distinct, mutually exclusive events that satisfy the question. And because the answer could be the first scenario, or the second, or the third, we just apply our second golden rule. We add them down. The outcomes. So 2549 plus 1049 plus 1049 gives us a final probability of 4549. I mean, look how clean that is. Without the tree diagram, calculating the odds of at least one rainy day out of unequal fractions sounds like an absolute nightmare. But with this structured visual approach, it's literally just basic addition. Let's hit section 4, real-world applications, buses, bulbs, and board games. The real beauty of this system is that these exact same rules apply to far more than just predicting the weather. Consider a scenario where a morning bus arrives on time 65% of the time. Now, instead of 2 days, we want to track this bus across 3 consecutive mornings. You'd simply draw 3 levels of branches. And instead of fractions, your branches would be labeled with 0.65 for on time and 0.35 for late. The visual map expands, sure, but the logic remains totally identical. Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer variety of questions examiners can throw at you from just this one setup. By the way, if you want to master questions exactly like this, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE, to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Anyway, back to the bus. Once you have your 3-tier tree diagram drawn, you can effortlessly answer all of these. On time all 3 mornings, just multiply 0.65 across 3 branches. On time at least twice, just find every branch combination with 2 or more on-time results and add those specific final decimals together. The tree is literally doing all the heavy lifting for you. The source material also gives us a great alternative scenario, cartons of light bulbs where 10% are faulty. Here, your branches are faulty at 0.1 and working at 0.9. Finding exactly 2 faulty bulbs out of 3 just means mapping the branches that show faulty, faulty, working, faulty, and working, faulty, faulty. Then you multiply each path and add the 3 results together. Percentages translate perfectly into the exact same fractional branch rules we've been using. Or think about this sports example. A cricket team has a 0.25 chance of losing a game. That automatically means they have a 0.75 chance of winning or drawing, let's just call it not losing. So what's the probability of 10 consecutive wins? Now, you definitely don't need to draw 10 branches for this, you just use the multiplication rule. You take that 0.75 probability and multiply it by itself 10 times, so 0.75 to the power of 10. It's going to be a tiny, tiny probability, but the math is beautifully consistent. Finally, section 5. When probabilities change, the without replacement twist. All right, up until now, our base odds have stayed exactly the same every single time. But what happens when the rules of the game suddenly shift? This introduces the absolutely crucial concept of events occurring without replacement. This means exactly what it sounds like. When an item is chosen, it is not put back. This permanently alters the total number of items available, which means your second set of branches will now have completely different fractions than your first set. Here's the classic setup from the syllabus. Visualize a bag containing 3 red balls and 7 black balls. That's 10 balls total, right? Your first branch is super easy. The probability of picking a red ball is 3/10. The probability of picking a black ball is 7/10. But then, you reach into the bag, pull out a red ball, and you keep it. You do not replace it. Think about what that actually does to your reality. If you kept a red ball, there are no longer 10 balls in the bag. There are only 9. And there are no longer 3 red balls, there are only 2. Your total universe has shrunk. So what happens to your tree diagram on the second branch? Well, the denominator changes to 9, and the numerators shift based on exactly what you took out. It forces you to think dynamically. How would you draw that out to find the odds of picking 2 red balls? I'm going to leave you with that provocative thought to test your new mapping skills. Remember, draw the tree, multiply across the branches, and add down the outcomes. You've got this. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep practicing those diagrams, and I'll see you next time.